So you felt bad about it? You took it?
Oh, I was crushed. I was absolutely destroyed. I just walked around for a while, cried for a while, got myself back home, started crying again.
Because you didn't have anyone to cry with? Because I think you would have been crying once you got there.
I'm sure I would have, but I was just hoping that there was going to be... I didn't know what to expect, but I was just hoping there was going to be something to latch on to, or maybe even, you know, that feeling that week that my dad got sick.
You know, I know that you're upset now. Here, I want you to take this and just kind of read it whenever you feel bad about yourself. Maybe it'll help.
All right.
This is like wise words for you.
Yeah, it's not even really words. It's just a drawing of an erect penis.
Oh, here,
spewing.
give that back. That shouldn't have. That's not what I was looking for.
Yeah,
that's
spewing
the wrong.
something.
Spewing something.
I mean, if I could have taken that into the meeting last night and maybe lighten everyone's mood with it.
There was no everyone, Fez. Remember that.
No, there is nobody.
Dr. Kaku is here from the future. You have returned to us with the brand new book, Physics of the Future. I remember as a kid when I read Brave New World, how locked in I was to that. And I know that kids the same exact age are reading your book, feeling the same way about it. The possibilities are almost limitless here.
That's right, and people are fascinated by this. The book's been on the New York Times bestseller list for 5 weeks running. And how often do you see the word physics on the New York Times bestseller list?
Now, the idea that you had that this just isn't your guesses and better feelings about it. You've went to 300 different scientists.
That's right. You know, science fiction is great. I love science fiction, but I'm not a science fiction writer. I'm a physicist. Unless I see a prototype, unless I see that it's consistent with the laws of physics, I think it's junk, it's quackery. So I interviewed 300 of the world's top scientists for BBC Television, Discovery Channel, Science Channel, and my own national radio show. And what I learned will blow your socks right off. They are inventing the future in their laboratory. This is not the Jetsons. This is reality. And the stuff that's in this book are going to change your life, turn it upside down in the coming decades.
Now, the progression that we're making happens. I mean, if you look at the time limit of the Stone Age and then the Iron Age, whatever. By the time we got through an Industrial Age, it went very, very quickly. Now in the Information Age, things are doubling very fast.
And it's going to get even faster. When the Internet is in our contact lens, it'll be as fast as blinking. You'll simply blink and have access to infinite information. And if I look at you or somebody at a cocktail party and I don't know who you guys are, your contact lens will identify who these people are. So at a cocktail party, you will always know exactly who to suck up to at any party.
So because I'll have contacts with the Internet, it'll face read you and give me all of your information as you're talking to me.
That's right. And if they speak Chinese to you, we will translate Chinese into English in your contact lens as subtitles as they speak. Google is already spending millions of dollars perfecting this technology. And so it means that if you're a tourist in a different country, you'll always be able to talk to the locals. In fact, a two-way conversation. If they have an Internet contact lens, you can have a very interesting two-way conversation between peoples whose language are totally different.
Now, for the people out there that they have children and you want to kind of help your children get in the right direction, what fields should we be trying to get our children interested? Where should their education go?
Their education should go into the areas where machines are weak. Machines are good at repetitive tasks. So certain things like automobile workers, they're going to get obliterated because repetitive jobs, that's exactly what robots can do. Also, middlemen jobs are also threatened because, for example, you can now book airplane flights on the Internet without an agent. You can buy stocks without an agent. However, the jobs of the future will be jobs that involve creativity, imagination, leadership, analysis, experience. These are the jobs which are going to be prized. And so in the book, I make a whole list of the jobs which are doomed and the jobs which are going to explode in the future. For example, Tony Blair liked to say that England derives more revenue from rock and roll than it does from the coal mining industry. Coal is a commodity. It's been going down in price for many decades. while rock and roll is intellectual capital, things that cannot be done by robots, things that involve creativity, innovation, imagination, experience. And so those jobs are going to flourish in the future.
And in every field, it's going to be about what you can come up with to make life more interesting, more fun. Wow.
Yeah, that's right. And also, robots are very bad at recognizing objects. They see lines, circles, and squares much faster than us, but they don't identify that line, circle, and squares equals people, dogs, cats, tables, chairs. They don't recognize what they see. And so therefore, jobs involving pattern recognition, eyesight, will flourish in the future. Therefore, believe it or not, construction workers will flourish because every job is different. Gardeners will flourish because every plant is different. While automobile workers, they're going to have their jobs wiped out because they're very repetitive kinds of jobs. But policemen, construction workers, sanitation workers, they'll all have jobs in the future because robots cannot pick up garbage.
What about in terms of repair? Will we even be doing repair work in the future, or is it going to be easier to just replace products?
We'll be doing repair, except we won't be repairing cars so much. Cars will drive themselves. We'll have driverless cars. There's going to be a huge robotics industry, even bigger than the automobile industry, because there are going to be robots in the house, robots doing day-to-day chores. In Japan, they already have a robot cook. It looks sort of like a spider with arms, but it makes noodles in 1 minute and 40 seconds, faster than any human. And already you see them in fast food places. And we also have robots that can fold laundry. Simple things like this. But remember that robots are mainly going to be used in hospitals to take care of the elderly. That's where we're going to have a huge demand because of the rising cost of health care. And that's where Japan comes in, because Japan is spending millions of dollars perfecting the latest healthcare robots, robots to be found in a hospital.
Japan seems like they're light years in front of everyone else with robots. I mean, it's almost a national obsession in Japan.
Yeah, 30% of all robots are in Japan. And the reason why is, one, because these are the future robot nurses, because Japan is aging very, very rapidly. But also in the Shinto religion, the Japanese people believe that there are spirits in any inanimate object, and therefore robots are actually alive to some degree. Now, in the United States, little kids fear Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator robot because Terminator robots kill people. But in Japan, robots are helpful. They're friendly. They help you with your homework. They're companions for lonely kids. And so the culture is different, that in Japan, robots are seen as companions and friends rather than Terminators.
Well, we have something, I think, in our mythology from the beginning of, like, our science fiction. We fear machines. Americans have always feared machines taking over.
Yeah, when the telephone first came in, there were people who actually harangued against the telephone because they thought it's mechanical. We're not going to have dinner table conversations anymore. We'll talk to a disembodied voice from the ether someplace. And, the critics were absolutely right. We don't talk that much to our family anymore. However, because our circle of friends has more than tripled, quadrupled as a consequence, we love the telephone. You can't live without the telephone. And now with the internet, kids can play games with somebody in Russia, Australia. They think nothing of setting up a video game with people from different countries. And so I think it's changed the outlook of kids, which I think is a good thing, because that spreads democracy. And democracy is never war with other democracies. If you think about it, every war that we learned about since we were children have always been between monarchies and dictatorships, but never between two democracies. And so when kids play video games, realize that they're spreading democracy in areas where they don't have democracy. Look at the Middle East right now. Who would have thought that dictators that last 50 years and are immovable could be doomed by Twitter? Who would have thought that? Right.
It is, and the interesting thing too is, it's almost like things like rock and roll, hip hop, video games will bring people closer together against traditional philosophies. That it'll almost be like young people will be attracted to having fun, and that kind of moves the old politics out of the way.
That's right. National borders begin to mean a little bit less if your best friend happens to live in Siberia, and kids are going to have a whole different way of looking at things. When we talk to our grandparents, we are shocked that they could live in a world without television, without the internet. Radio was all basically what they had back then, maybe the telegraph. We're shocked that they could live like that. Our grandkids will look at us and we'll say, what? Your cars couldn't drive themselves?
Yeah.
What? You didn't have internet contact lenses? What?